So I decided to give up that big salary and do my own thing.
What sort of mindset did you have to have that shift?
The biggest mind shift, I think, was, I had a mortgage on our home and we had quite a few investment properties and 2 young kids, and I guess a lot of debt. I was very heavily involved in property investment, so I knew a lot of property managers, a lot of property investors. And I had come up with the idea basically that I would be a one-stop shop for them.
Mark Trafford is a successful businessman, building 4 businesses, including a networking business spanning the North Island of New Zealand, and a multi-million-dollar construction franchise business with over 12,000 clients.
If you want to scale a business in New Zealand, franchising or licensing is an awesome way to do it. And from there, over the course of the last 12 years, we went from just one business to 13 licenses.
What do you think really made the expansion work and the growth work?
Becoming front and center of the business. I write a lot of Herald articles, One Roof stuff. We've done a television series. We had Israel Dagg and Stephen Donald, 2 pretty awesome ex-All Blacks, on the show with us. We raised $1.2 million to renovate 8 sports clubs. Unfortunately, sometimes things change and you get those big roadblocks that you didn't expect, or the train wrecks. And that was probably the biggest challenge in my personal life.
How did you navigate it from a mental health point of view?
I didn't, actually. I didn't cope very well at all.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Thank you for choosing to click on this video. I believe that you're going to get a lot of value out of it. And what I want from you, and I'd love from you, is one little thing. To please hit subscribe, because that will help our channel so much and it's going to help us be discovered. And we're promising that if you hit subscribe, then we're going to work really hard to make sure that our episodes get better and better and you're not going to be disappointed. So thank you for stopping by and enjoy the episode. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Mina. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm awesome. Always good.
I'm really glad that we got you on because you're one of the people that I've been looking forward to having on the pod, to be able to ask so many questions about business, how you start it, how you scale it. You're a successful businessman in your own right, and you've accomplished quite a lot. But you also, as a human, you deeply care about people.
I do, very much. It's important.
Absolutely. And it's a beautiful trait to have. And I want to unpack it and see how you've got on, how you've done this. So I would love to get started with finding out from you, what made you leave your corporate world and jump on being business?
In 2007, I had come back from the UK and I'd worked all my life in corporate, right up to really quite large businesses, 60, 80 staff. And I'd come back to New Zealand. My first son was 2 years old and my second son was about to be born, and I got offered a corporate job. And I really didn't want to do that. And then about a year later, I decided that I really didn't want to do that. I wasn't seeing my children travelling to and from work and, doing the 12, 13, 14 hours a day that corporate demands, and that's fine. And so we went through a round of restructure, and I said to the board of directors, look, I think it's probably best if I leave. Yeah. And so I decided to give up that big salary and do my own thing, and it's always what I wanted to do. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid at school. I just enjoy turning a profit, making money, seeing people buy things. It's just exciting. So,
what sort of mindset did you have to have that shift?
Oh, look, you have to be brave. I had a mortgage on our home and we had quite a few investment properties and 2 young kids, and I guess a lot of debt. And so the first thing is you need to be brave, but I think the most important thing is you need to back yourself. You need to say, right, I'm going to do this. My wife at the time was quite supportive, and I think she knew that it was a dream that I'd had for all of my life, to be in charge of my own destiny. And so that made it easy. But the biggest mind shift, I think, was believing in myself that I could start something and build it and actually make it work and make money from it as well, because there's a lot of small businesses, particularly in New Zealand, that don't even pay people a salary, so it's that was the biggest mindset.
Let's talk about starting a business and scaling in New Zealand. How did you start and scale it?
Well, it started as basically a husband and wife business in construction, renovations and maintenance, and I'd done a lot of research. I was very heavily involved in property investment, so I knew a lot of property managers, a lot of property investors, and I had come up with the idea basically that I would be a one-stop shop for them, that they could come to me with anything, and I would sort that for them. And so that's how the business evolved, and it was very successful, and it ran very well for about 5 years as a husband and wife business. And during that 5 years, I worked on the sales and marketing, and my ex-wife was an accountant, so she did all the back end of the business.
Right.
And so we had good complementary skills.
Right.
Scaled it to a
fine.
reasonable level where we were earning what I would call reasonable money in New Zealand. We still weren't at that corporate salary, but we were doing okay. And whilst I was doing that, I started the kind of franchising licensing model as well, because I always had a vision that the business would be, well, my goal then at the beginning was a $10 million business. I thought that was huge, to be able to grow something to $10 million. So I started the licensing model where I could, have people buy territory similar to franchising, and so we began that process.
Sounds like an exciting journey, because it is not easy to start a business. I wonder if it was easy to start a business back in the day, and it's not as easy to start a business now.
I think it's probably easy to start. It's probably not easy to get the traction, to get up and running. And I mean, you've done it very well, but you don't know what you don't know when you go into business. It's not like going to buy a car and it's got a price on it and you might get a little bit off that, and then you drive it, and if you service it, then hopefully it's fine. It's a series of roadblocks. It's a series of challenges. It's a series of highlights as well. Yeah. But I think the biggest challenge for people is they just don't know. They don't know what they don't know about going into business and what's going to happen, and the expectation. And I mean, most small business owners in New Zealand that I've met over the last 20 years are working more hours than what they did when they were working for the man.
Why is that, do you think?
Probably because it's their passion, or they're stuck in that business and they actually don't know how to get out. There's a combination of that, or they haven't been able to scale, so there's still a one-man or a two-man operation. And really in New Zealand, that's just treading water a lot of the time.
It is difficult, isn't it? Because
it's very difficult.
You're supposed to start a business to feel free and get freedom and stuff like that. How long did it take you to be able to feel, I can breathe now, and it's not just me running the business, and I'm good?
Started the business in 2007, probably in the last 3 or 4 years, really. I've felt comfortable financially and had the people around me where I don't have to, I guess, worry or stress too much. But I think after about 4 years, I was comfortable with where we were going.
After you started?
Yeah, as a husband and wife business. Unfortunately, sometimes things change, and you get those big roadblocks that you didn't expect, or the train wrecks, I call them.
What sort of train wrecks did you
when your marriage breaks up?
dig into? Right.
Marriage breaks up, and that was probably the biggest challenge in my personal life, certainly, but particularly around our business, because we owned everything together and we owned the businesses together. And I was very good at brand and sales and marketing. That's my strength. I'm an ideas person. Hey man, let's go do this, but can you help me, because I don't know how to do all these other things behind it. And so when my marriage come crashing down, I didn't even know what the passwords were to our business bank accounts. And if you've ever been involved, or people have been involved in messy relationships, people don't talk very well. Communication doesn't go very well. So, by the time I got to all the banks and got passwords and got authenticated and all those things, it was quite a period of time. And we owed a lot of money to contractors and companies, and people were knocking on my door. It was a pretty scary time. And my ex-wife didn't want the business. She just basically said, "It's yours, I don't want it." And I didn't know how to do anything except sales and marketing. So I learned a huge lesson about always concentrating or having people and understanding everything in your business.
It must have been difficult that time, that period. How did you navigate it from a mental health point of view?
I didn't, actually. I didn't cope very well at all. I had 2 young children at that stage, and not only had I thought I was married for life. Everybody referred to my wife as the beautiful Barbie wife, and I was probably the happiest guy alive. We'd just done a big family trip up to India, which was one of our kind of bucket list things. And then it all went wrong. And I didn't cope. I didn't have anyone to turn to. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with my business. I couldn't cope. I thought I was losing my 2 children as well. So life was pretty terrible, and business really wasn't a priority at that stage. And it took me several months to straighten everything out. And it took me quite a while to get my business back up and running, and to navigate communicating with everybody in around the business, both customers and suppliers and everybody else, around what I was going to do and how I was going to pay people that I was still trading in business. But it was just an awful time in my life, and I didn't cope well. I don't think anybody does.
It is interesting, because when you a husband and wife business, I'm sure some people listening going, well, we're in a husband and wife business. Hopefully that's not going to happen to us. Things happen though, and challenges come through. What sort of advice or wisdom do you have for them?
After that, I swore that I would never go into business with my wife or my partner, and now Melanie and I are business partners. Although it's a completely different structure and setup than what we had before. My advice to people is, it doesn't matter whether you're in business with your husband or wife or your partner. If you're in business with someone else or other people, it's like a marriage. So I'll give you an example of that. My construction company, my business partner has been with me for 13 years. We own 2 businesses together, the licensor business and one of the licenses. We are like a married couple. We were friends before that, but we are like a married couple. If one of us is having a bad day, then the other one just keeps out of the way. We have arguments, we have disagreements, we have really good times. We have a lot of fun together. Our families have grown up together. But it doesn't matter who you're in business with. That's a partnership, and that is a marriage, whether you like it or not. The only thing I would say to people is, whatever business you're in, have a really good shareholders agreement, have really clear job descriptions and roles and responsibilities, and make sure that if something happens in your business, that there is a clear path of exit for whoever you're in business with, so that the business doesn't fail. Because a lot of people have debt on their businesses, and it will pull them down. We didn't have any debt, luckily, only the people that we owed money to. We hadn't borrowed money to start a business. We'd plugged a laptop in a bedroom and grown it from there, and then got office space and done it quite well. So we didn't have debt, but most people have some debt on their businesses.
It is an interesting story and quite incredible, and thank you for sharing the realities.
That's okay.
Of business and the realities of life, and having and a good advice, I think, with regards to husband and wife businesses coming together and making sure that things are clear. Can we get back to scaling your business?
Sure.
Scaling, you've talked about starting, you talked about having a little spare bedroom somewhere in your home.
Yep. So that's exactly what we did. We started, plugged a laptop in, which we shared.
And this is back in
2007 in my original construction business. And literally, I would do a couple of hours work in the morning, and then I would go out and I would do the sales calls, and I would meet the clients, and I would do all those things. And then, I would take the kids to school, and then my wife would do the accounts and the invoices and the quotes and things through the day, and then I would go and pick the kids up and I would check the quotes and all those things. And so it ran literally out of a tiny little bedroom, half the space of this, for quite some time, probably for about 3 years before we decided that we needed to employ someone else.
Right.
And so we got a small upstairs unit from somebody. We subleased an upstairs unit and had somebody else come into the business as well on a part-time basis. And we grew the business year on year. When it fell apart, interestingly enough, my business partner for the last 13 years had worked for me as a salesperson, and then had left to go and do a national sales role for the flooring industry. And we'd stayed really good friends. And he came to me and said, Mark, do you want to sell half of your business? And I said, I don't know if I want to be in business with anybody again. And he said, but I know that you're passionate about growing the business and licensing it and being this national brand, or this big brand. I think we could do that together. And that's when the scale really started. So he joined me, and he has amazing. I have this, I don't know if it's an ability, but it's like a sixth sense to pick people around me in business that complement me.
That's awesome. I want to zone in on that, if you like now or after you've done your story, but I want to zone in on that at some point.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So, and from there, over the course of the last 12 years, we went from just one business to 13 licenses, and a really significant turnover, well above $10 million. And we have about 400 companies that subcontract to our brand across the North Island and New Zealand, and that's exciting because we're providing a lot of work and opportunity for people in construction in New Zealand. We've got about 12,000 clients, and that scale really came from my original vision of saying, okay, we're going to be this, and then having the ability of people like my business partner to, implement all of those things and to work on systems and processes. If you want to scale a business in New Zealand, franchising or licensing is an awesome way to do it. And the risks are still there, but they are not as significant as hiring, another 10 people and bigger office premises. So we literally still run out of a very small office in Albany. There's, I think, 6 of us in our office. It's not a big overhead, and it's a really good business model, and it's a really good business.
What do you think really made the expansion work and the growth work well? What are some of the things that you've done that...
For me, becoming front and center of the business, becoming the almost the face of the brand. So I still do a lot of it. I write a lot of Herald articles, One Roof stuff. We've done a television series a couple of years ago that, we raised $1.2 million to renovate 8 sports clubs across New Zealand. And, we had Israel Dagg and Stephen Donald, 2 pretty awesome ex-All Blacks, on the show with us. My business partner fronted that show, which was really good. But you have to push your brand to the next level all the time. And if you can do that, more people see you. And then opportunities come. So now we do a lot of work in sports clubs across New Zealand. That came out of that TV series. And the articles that I write for those publications, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people see them on a Saturday or a Sunday when they pick up the Herald. If I write an article, I'll get all these texts on a Sunday. People say, oh, your face is in the Herald again, And it's actually lovely. I love it. But, I always write about the company and the brand. But they're always articles, and it's always information for people. So you're not trying to sell them anything. You're trying to help them with whatever they're doing, which in this case is generally renovating their homes. So how can we help them? I do a lot of seminars with people. I cross-pollinate a lot. So I did a seminar with New Zealand's leading property investment coach. I've done 2 this year, but I did one about 5 weeks ago. There were 400 people in the room. And he put them all in the room. I just turned up and spoke.
So clearly you have one-to-one versus one-to-many.
One-to-many, always one-to-many. What can I do, or what can the brand do to get out as wide and as far as possible? So if you want growth, you have to touch as many, whatever they're called, as you can, And I guess the other luxury that I have is that through my networking business in the last 13 years, I've met thousands of business owners. So I've built all of these relationships, secondary relationships, through those people like yourself, where I get to talk to them, grow their business and grow my business. And I always try to get a win-win with people. What's going to win for you and what's going to win for us? Because that's what we really want. So our growth has really come through pushing that brand out as far and as wide as we can.
Quite a key marketing tip, which kind of a lot of business owners get distracted by the daily grind of the work and don't think about these things maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I look at what I spend on. I have a real bugbear with social media, but particularly with Google ads and SEO. I look at what we spend per annum on Google and SEO.
Yeah.
And then I look at my time, which I have a dollar value on, and what business comes in through what I do for the brand compared to what we spend, and it's way more than what we get from Google. I'm not saying you shouldn't be on Google. I think you have to in the modern world.
Yeah.
But it's my time, and I'm getting to a whole heap more people.
Yes. So what is the one marketing exercise that works really well for you?
Collaborations. Collaborations. So find people that complement your business and run workshops or seminars or do webinars. I did a webinar for this same guy. I've done 2 of those as well before the event, and I think there were 1,200 people on the webinar.
Yeah.
So I'm tapping into 1,200 of his clients that are all looking to do things with houses.
And how do you land people probably thinking, going, how do I get there? How do I
build
find
those relationships?
Yeah.
Find those people. I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk about networking anyway, but seek out those people in the room. When you go into a room full of people and you're networking, know who's in the room. Hopefully they've got a badge on, but ask for a list or get a list or look at who's in the room and figure out 1 or 2 of those people that you're going to focus in on, and try and get a relationship and some follow-up with them that they see and you see is going to be a win-win. And then try to cultivate business for both off the back of that, and then do that as many times as you can.
One of the things that I really love about business is the fact that we can have an element of networking and community. See, I don't want to do anything in life that doesn't have community. I joined a new networking program called the Networking Group. The Networking Group is a collection of business owners and entrepreneurs and tradies here in New Zealand. The reason why I joined it is because I am able to, every week, have a chance to show up and have a great conversation with at least 5 business owners, get to know who they are, get to know their businesses, and actually find out how can we do business together. I have loved this experience so far. I think it's been such a great chance to, just practice my presentation skills, because you have to get up and talk about your business or talk about what you do. It helped me to practice my delivery and helped me to share my mission to the world. It's been such a rewarding experience. And perhaps you might want to check them out. They are called the Networking Group, TNG, and you can find them online. Back to the episode. For people who, you're talking about having media articles and exposure and even TV series. I mean, these are great marketing ways to push your brand and things like that. So How did you learn those? How did you learn the
find a communications person
yeah,
who has the contacts,
right?
and it's not that difficult. So,
So you went and found someone who
I
knows
was
people
lucky
in the
because
media.
when I first started my business, I started networking in an international networking organisation and did very well from that. And one of the guys that was sitting in the room was a communications expert, and I'm still very close with him. And so he would write stories for me or write articles and send them out to all his publishers. And then we would get hits, and they would say, oh, can I interview Mark on this? Can I interview Mark on that? And then after 2 or 3 years, they would just come directly to me. So, if Diana Clement at the Herald wants, or One Roof or whoever she's writing for, or whatever magazine, wants an article, she just comes to me now because I'm on a list of people that she can get good quality content from that's reliable and it's current. So find somebody who does content writing that has relationships with publishers. They're out there. They're very easy to find. And get them to write articles for you or small blogs and get them to send them to those people.
It took some time for you though, like to develop those relationships.
But it doesn't stop. It doesn't. The relationship doesn't stop though, does it? So it's once you've got that relationship with those people, they just keep coming back.
So we talked about networking, it being such an important part of the business model. And can you tell us a bit more about TNG, the networking group? Because it's
because you can see I'm smiling now because that's my passion. Obviously,
you love it.
Yeah, I do.
Why do you love it?
Because I get to meet people and I get to talk about. I've got probably, like everyone, 4 or 5 passions in life, and business is one of those. And I also love helping people, but I love even more seeing them be successful. So
for people who don't know TNG, would you mind telling us what it is? How did it start?
Yep.
Why did you start it?
So I had to leave my networking organisation back in 2009 because of my marriage split up. And then a couple of years later, I had a young lady who had a business called Tradesmen's Networking. Her father was an electrician. She had about 3 groups who got referred to me through somebody who said, can you help me with this? I think this is a really good business. And I went, I haven't really got time, but look, I'll just give you some ideas. So got involved, grew it to about 6 or 7 groups. It was very trade orientated, but they wouldn't show up because tradies, 7 o'clock in the morning, if they've got a job, they go to that. And I was like, this doesn't work. We need to change it. So we changed it to TNG, the networking group. She went away after about 8 months to Australia, came back and said, actually, I'm going to live in Australia. You can have this business. And I was like, I'm not sure I want this business. I've still got this one. So I set about doing what I enjoy, which is creating the brand, which is TNG, the networking group, creating what I call a Kiwi experience in networking, which is turn up, represent your business, grow, learn, develop, be better as a business owner, as a person, but have fun. Because if you don't have fun, you don't keep going to anything, do you? So we really try to encourage our members to do all of those things. We have a learning platform. So I think we have something like 32 groups from Kerry down to Napier. And it's just fantastic. I get to travel and see the groups. I do a lot of visits to groups. I do a lot of launches for new groups. And it's just that business where you're talking to people all the time about your passion.
How important is it to be part of a networking group in this day and age?
Look, not because I own the business, but I think the biggest problem with SMEs, particularly in the first kind of 3 to 4 years, is they don't have really good support around them, which you can access via your networks. So when I say that, I'm talking about a really good, competent business lawyer. I'm talking about somebody who can give you really good accounting advice, somebody who can talk to you about business structure, lending, not just personal but business as well. And when people get into trouble in business, small business, it's because they don't know what they don't know. It's not that they're silly or they've done. Most people get into trouble because they actually didn't know that. They'll just make a mistake because they didn't know. If they've got a network of 15 or 20 people or 30 people or 40 people that they can talk to, have a conversation with a lawyer that's not going to cost you $450 because actually you can't afford it. You can just ask a question and get an answer.
Through the networking group.
Yeah, through the networking group, then that's invaluable.
Yeah.
I mean, I from my point of view, I've still got the same insurance broker, commercial insurance broker or life, fire and general broker. I have changed accountants, but I'm still friends with my original accountant from 15 years. Same lawyers, all these people go all the way back with me. And not only are they very good at doing business because they fully understand myself, my family, and all my four businesses, it's busy.
Yeah.
But they're also friends now, really good friends, I know their families. I go to rugby with them. I go fishing. They came to our wedding this year. So it's, those sorts of people around you when you're in business are invaluable. And TNG provides you a safe, non-judgmental, fun environment that is structured but relaxed, where you can learn if you're new, grow, share your experience if you're somebody who's been in business for a while, and hopefully be a better business owner.
It sounds like a mission of yours.
It is. I mean, if my only income was from TNG, I wouldn't be a very wealthy person.
Really?
It's a passion business, and it's I'm very lucky because it's Melanie's passion as well. Her passion is people, and her passion is business. And so between the two of us, if we can help every business owner we can help or support, we're doing something for New Zealand business and the economy.
It's a lot of giving back, right?
It's all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all time, and time is our most precious commodity. I don't think most business owners accept that their time, because when I speak to people, I say, how much are you charging for your time?
Yeah.
They don't understand that question. And,
Yeah.
I strip it right back and say, you do realize you're the most expensive part of this business or piece of this business. It is a passion, and it's really, I guess I'm at that stage in my life now where I'm comfortable with everything, and it is about giving back, particularly to business owners. The biggest kick I get is I was walking through Sylvia Park shopping mall a couple of years ago, and I'm really good with faces and I'm terrible with names, but I'd never forget a face. So this guy walks up to me and he goes, "Hey Mark, how are you?" And I went, "Remember your face? I remember which TNG group. I'm sorry." And he told me his name, which is fine. I just own it now. And he said, "I just wanted to tell you, when I first joined TNG 6 years ago, there was just me. Now I've got 14 staff and I'm just absolutely booming." And I said, "Well, that's not all because of TNG." He goes, "No, but the people that I've met, what I've learned." And for me, that's like, so many small businesses in New Zealand fail. And it's not because they don't work hard. They work so hard, to the detriment of their lifestyle and their family often, and to their income. It's that they don't have the right people around them. So those sort of comments and feedbacks, and I get them all the time at meetings. "Hey Mark, I just picked up this awesome client. I got 6 real estate listings this year. I've made this much money." I'm like, wow, awesome.
When it comes to your business, when you started, clearly it wasn't an easy journey, but you had to make decisions along the way, many millions of decisions. And surely you haven't made the best decisions at some point.
You were going to say that. Yeah, you make a lot of mistakes as a business owner, but you have to own them. That's the first thing. I think the the biggest thing that I see with business owners is they bury their head in their sand and they don't own their mistakes, and they don't go away a lot of the time. But yeah, boy, I've made some huge mistakes, a lot of money. One that comes to mind, in 2016, we were finding it very hard in the construction side of the business to get builders and plumbers and electricians. And so I had this idea, as I do, that we would buy a trade business that employed 11 tradies and a couple of office girls. And so I took off on a hiss and a roar, like I always do, and had a advisor who, in hindsight, was the wrong person. Didn't pick up a lot of the red flags that I would have expected and paid for, but it was my decision and it was our money. And so I rushed off and didn't do enough due diligence and brought this business, and then on the day of takeover, I think 4 of the tradies resigned and walked out the door. So instead of having 11, we had 7, and then within about 6 months, another 3 of them had gone, and I was struggling to employ tradespeople, and we'd paid well over $300,000 for this business. And so we had some debt on that. First time in my life we had business debt, my business partner and I. And to make matters worse, I was operating a business that I was out of my depth. I knew nothing about. I knew about subcontractors and how they operated, but I knew nothing about employed builders and apprenticeships and all those sorts of things. And it just kept unraveling and it didn't stop. And, we were losing money pretty quickly. Work wasn't coming in quick enough, and it was a real spiral, and it went on for, I think, probably about 18 months before I realised we'd made a huge mistake. And it was getting expensive. And so I think in 2019, we decided that we would cease trading in that business, and we sold the assets, the vans and other things, and ended up paying off the debt for quite some time. So we probably spent about $400,000 to $500,000 on a database in the end, that we still have, and that was probably financially the biggest mistake. What it did teach me was not to rush, not just because of the money, but I have 10 ideas a day, and a lot of business owners are like me. That's why we're entrepreneurs, because we have ideas and we think we can do something and create something. But I rushed the whole process. I didn't do the due diligence properly. My business partner wasn't 100% okay with it, but we didn't sit and go through it, and I just kept driving it through because that's me, I'm the driver. And then when it started to unfold, it was a real pressure on us because we'd borrowed the money together, and it was absolutely my idea. And so that's financially, that was a low point. It was good to get out, and I think, like everybody, I did bury my head in the sand for about 6 months, and then I remember having a conversation with my new business coach, because the old one was redundant by then. And he said, mate, you just got to draw a line under the sand. Under this, you can't continue to do this. And the accountants had been telling us that every month for a long time. So big mistakes, but you do make a lot of mistakes along the way. There's no doubt about that.
How much was the loss?
Oh, I think we're probably over $500,000 in the end by the time, we'd washed everything up. And yes, you can carry losses forward in a business, but you've lost the money to be able to get it back.
So you must have learned a lot from that, clearly. And what sort of advice would you have for business owners to try and reduce or minimize the risk for a deal?
Make sure that your advisors, that you have a team of advisors. So I didn't involve my accountants enough. Had I done that, they would have red flagged it very early on. And they told me that very clearly afterwards, in no uncertain terms, and so they should, because that's what I pay them good money for. Make sure that if you're using a business coach or somebody to help you buy a business, that they have good knowledge around that, and make sure that legalities and other things with lawyers. So the team needs to be good. Don't rush. I seriously rushed this deal, and I to the point where I probably paid 50-60 grand more than I needed to as well up front. Right. Because I'd already in my own mind implemented what was going to happen rather than concentrating on the now. So if you are going to borrow money, if you're going to buy a business, if you're going to buy a business to bolt it into yours, which is what we're doing, take your time, do your due diligence, make sure that you've got a team, 3 or 4 people that are all giving you advice. And if 1 or 2 of them say no, listen to them. So that would be my biggest learnings from that. I probably will never buy another business after that. In fact, I know I won't.
Talking about business and buying businesses, and you're running now a franchise, which is it's in growth phase at the moment. Yeah,
we've got 2 new owners coming on. I mean, like everybody, we got a bit of a hiding through COVID. We had 13 owners. We went down to about 8. Lost a couple through health as well, poor health, which was a shame. But we're now back in growth mode. Construction is almost boom and bust in New Zealand.
Yes.
You see a lot of new houses being built, but there aren't that many compared to what they were 3 or 4 years ago. So we're building maybe 20% of what we were 3 or 4 years ago in the boom times.
Right.
And all of those guys we work in the renovations and property maintenance sector of the industry, which is $1 billion sector on its own. But so when all of those builders and tradies aren't building new homes, they all come over and play in this side of the sandpit because there's no work for them. So it gets very congested. So it's not boom and bust, but it's either you've got so much work you don't have to think about it, or everybody's scrambling looking for work. So construction's one of the hardest industries, particularly residential in New Zealand, I think, to have a business in.
Clearly there's like a boom and bust going on, and in New Zealand, obviously New Zealand is such a small market, right? And it's crazy to think.
Can be, yes.
And all I can think about now is, how did you scale a renovation business to 13 what do you call them? Licenses.
Very similar.
And it's such a small market. But before you start that, I would love to know what it is, and why would someone even consider it?
Yep. Look, MTP is a renovations and maintenance company. It has a diverse range of clients, firstly, absolutely amazing systems and processes and end-to-end, which all good license or franchise systems need to have. That's what people are paying for. So when you're buying a license or a franchise, you're buying the brand. So the brand out in the market, and I talked about that before with how we get the brand out far and wide. You're buying the systems that the business uses, because you haven't got systems often, or you don't know what they are. You're buying the processes. What is the process from getting a new client to a repeat client? You're buying the intellectual property, so everything to do with that franchise and what they've done in our case over the last 17 years. And you're buying an insight into their customer base. And I think an opportunity into their customer base, one of the really good benefits of MTP is, yes, we do renovations for homeowners. So if Mina's looking for a new kitchen or a new bathroom, or to extend her house, or build a home office, or renovate or make your house bigger, that's fine. We can do all of that. We're really good at that. We do probably 1,200 of those a year. But we also do a lot of maintenance work, and we're very strong in the residential property investor market. So we can renovate a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house for an investor in 4 weeks, top to bottom, and give them the key back for a fixed price. So we have a very strong client base of all of your major residential property management companies, Ray White's, Barfoot and Thompson, Harcourt's, Bailey's. They're all our clients, along with a raft of individual or privately owned companies as well. We also deal with commercial property managers, Bailey's and Barfoot's and all those guys as well, and a lot of body corporates. But we also have maintenance contracts with companies like BP, Air New Zealand, but we don't work at, Auckland Airport, but we don't work at the airport. We provide noise solutions for all the houses around the airports. So we create packages for companies that help them. We do work for early child care centres like Best Start, who have 165 child care centres nationwide. We do work for people, all different types of company. Kainga Ora, we do small works for them. So we have a wide range of clients. We're not just pigeonholed into renovations. So I guess the advantage for people in buying into what we do is they've got an opportunity to work within all of this, and then they decide what parts of it they're good at and what they can do. A lot of companies a lot of franchises will split that, so they'll have a renovations division and you can only do renovations. They'll have a maintenance division and you can only do maintenance. We believe in giving business owners the biggest opportunity they can, because when times are tough, and they have been, interest rates are high, property prices come down, everything costs more, including food, petrol. You need to be able to get business from everywhere, because it's survival mode at that stage for some people. So that's what we do, and I guess that's the opportunity that people see. And it's a reasonably easy business to scale, because you can, you don't need to be a builder. We've got some owners that are husband and wife builders. We've got some owners that are, I've got a guy who was a international diving manager. He'd run 15 divers off the deep sea somewhere, and I've got guys that were IT guys that are very good at project management. So
who's this franchise really good for?
It's really good for builders. That what you find with most small trade companies in New Zealand is they're very good at what they do. They're not very good at everything else. So we provide everything else. So they don't know where their next job's coming from at the moment, and they don't have any systems and processes, and they don't get their invoices out because they're too damn tired after working 14 hours on site trying to make a living, and they're not making a lot of money. So we're really good for those guys, because we give them an established client base and help them work on that. We give them systems and processes, and we give them administration support so that they can get their invoices out and all those things done. So they've actually got a business that's worth money that they can scale. Most of them don't want to be working on the tools in 10 years' time. They want to be running a business, or even 5 years. So it's good for them. It's good for anybody who's got a passion for property, because that's what we do. We just do property.
Yeah.
Whether that's a Best Start childcare centre where we're providing, a new playground or new swings and slides or whatever we're building for them, or whether it's Auckland Airport and we're providing noise reduction for people in their homes. It's all property. So if you love property, if property's your passion, and you want a business you can scale, then it's a great business for them.
Sounds like a lucrative opportunity.
Can be.
Yeah. So you're saying that you can provide all the admin tasks and marketing tasks and the job itself. So if I want to come on and be a franchisee, I don't need to worry about finding where the next job is going to be. That's your job.
No, you own the business, but we work very closely with all our owners from day one. We have a 12-week induction with our owners to help them grow their business. And I mean, you've already heard me talking about networking. So we put them into networking opportunities. We connect them. We put them in front of clients. We've got these national clients as well. So we expose them to them. Ultimately, it's your business and you need to be successful. Franchising gives you all of the tools. The business owner needs to make it a success. I can't guarantee your success, and no franchise or license owner could ever say that.
Yeah. So how much would it cost if someone wants to be part of this?
Oh, it's 59,000 plus GST for a startup, and then they need some working capital and a car and stuff. So most people have got that. So, starting your own business, probably is going to cost you half of that. But it's not for everybody, and some people make a real go of it, and some people it just doesn't work out for them.
But the people that have successfully done work, clearly you've grown so much from this business, because like what sort of annual turnover do you have at the moment?
Between 12 and 20 million it's been to. In the next 2 years we'll be well above 20 million again. So it's our largest business our largest license turns over between 4 and 5 million. So yeah, it's a good business.
Good business to have.
And scalable. I mean, that's the problem with most New Zealand businesses, is they don't know how to scale.
So let's say someone just sort of signed up with a franchise and decided not to have a business of their own, as in not starting it from scratch. What do they expect?
What should they expect?
Yeah, or should they expect?
They should expect full training. They should expect support on everything they do. They should expect a really good induction program. They should expect to be fully trained on all the systems that are provided. They should be introduced to both, in my opinion, both to prospective customers and to prospective suppliers. So that should be part of the package. And they should expect that support would be ongoing. So for our business, we have monthly meetings with our owners, one-on-one, where we sit down and go through a regular format on their business. We have 6 weekly meetings where we all come together. So from Bay of Plenty and Waikato and all of Auckland, and we sit and we usually have a guest speaker come in. So a couple of meetings ago, we had Bill James, who's a really good sales trainer who I've used before with our team about 8 years ago, come in and talk to them about how to maximize their sales, and how to turn the maybes into the yeses. And that's the sort of thing you're not going to get if you have your own business. And that gives your team the confidence to go out and close deals. And because no business survives without sales, does it? You have to sell. If you don't sell, you don't eat. It's as simple as that. What happens in the middle is really how well you deliver it. So, we have 6 weekly meetings. We have, owners and wives and partners Christmas dinner every year. It's really important that these people learn and grow together. They all know each other well, and that's a support mechanism. And I think part of that is being transferred across from what TNG does as well. Support these guys, help them in any way. Make sure that they've got as many tools as possible, and the likelihood is they'll be successful.
You must have renovated and worked on so many properties.
Oh, you have no idea. Thousands and thousands.
In New Zealand?
And in the UK. I used to renovate
in
properties
well.
in the UK as well.
Have you ever tried to keep account?
No, it would be in the thousands, absolutely.
So you would walk into a home and you would get blindfolded and you'll be able to renovate a home without even looking?
Not quite. I mean, I have another business where Melanie and I buy property, we do it up and we sell it. So we trade properties.
Okay.
So we do maybe half a dozen, 10 houses in a year. Depends.
How does that work? I mean, do you make
buy it, renovate it, sell it?
Can you do that in New Zealand?
Absolutely.
Excuse my arrogance.
Pay tax.
Obviously,
we pay tax.
I would love to learn more about this.
Yeah, so I can walk into a. The answer to your question is I can walk into a house. I can look around and go, okay, if I spend $50,000 on, if I buy this for this much, if I spend $50,000 or $100,000 or $300,000, which is what I just spent on the last project we did, then I can sell it for this. And if I take into account all of the costs, then hopefully I'm going to make this. So it is something that you learn. I guess it's a little bit, I've been doing property since I was 18. I bought my first property at 18, and so it's a long time.
18? How much was it?
$67,000.
Whereabouts?
In Massey, in West Auckland.
Do you still have it?
No, I sold it I think 4 years later, I was in the UK, and I started buying property in the UK. And then when I left the UK 11 years later, I sold all my property and came back to New Zealand.
What is going on really with the property market at the moment? What sort of the latest?
Oh, look, we're probably
renovation?
at the bottom of the market now. I think property prices are as low as they're going to get.
Right.
I think interest rates are now on the way down. They'll drop very, very quickly. Everything we do in the renovations market is heavily reliant on what the majority of people can borrow, because people don't have $100 or $200 or $50,000 in the bank in New Zealand. They have to borrow it. So they need equity in their homes, and they need the bank to lend them the money to do those projects. And that's the same with investment property. It's pretty much all the same. So we're at the bottom. Interest rates are dropping, and I think this time next year the market will have taken off, and then anybody who buys property now in the next 5 to 10 years will do very, very well.
So is it a good time to buy a house?
Absolutely. Never been better. Never been better. Property will not be this cheap in Auckland again.
Is it a good time to sell a house?
If it's in really top condition and you've got a really good agent, absolutely. I just sold a house in Birkenhead Point last Thursday at auction, and I got a registered valuation of $1,185,000, and it sold for 1.3.
Yeah.
Because it was beautiful and people wanted it. So if you've got a nice product, people will pay for it.
Is it a house that you renovated?
Yes.
Like you bought, renovated, and you sold?
Yep. So people will pay for a nice property.
Mark, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for your time.
Do you keep a journal?
No.
Do you keep notes in your phone?
I keep notes everywhere. I've got notes on my desk, notes on my phone.
What's the if I were to sort of flick through your notes, it could be wisdom, it could be a to-do list. What would I find?
Let me see. This week, surround yourself with more great people. Make that decision. So whatever that decision is. Pivot is rubbish. Do you remember when COVID was around and people kept saying you need to pivot your business? I don't believe that. I think you've got to be good at what you do. So that one was on my desk today.
Right.
This one I've got written on my whiteboard, make it a journey and have fun. So that's to do with life more than anything. It's not easy. If it's easy, everyone else is doing it. That's written in my diary at work at the moment.
I love it and I hate that saying at the same time.
Business isn't easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it and make lots of money.
That's right.
It's not meant to be easy. So I don't keep a journal. I write little notes. I write notes to myself.
Yeah.
I always have notes in here. I write notes for Melanie as well. I can't help it. I put shopping list and I'll write something in the middle, and it doesn't even necessarily mean that it's inspirational. It's just something important. So.
And I think one last thing wanted to ask you is you must have had a laser sharp focus on how you do business and how you do your life and the journey. Like you must know what you want in order for you to be able to accomplish all of that stuff that you mentioned.
So have you ever done a disc profile?
Yes.
So tell me what you are. Are you an I something or what?
Yep. I would probably be a DI.
DI.
I'm a direct and inspirational.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm just a D. I'm so far off the D.
Right.
That it kind of hangs out that way and there's nothing else. So I have no problems looking at something and going, that's where I want to be. Always been like that. Always. Grew up in a state house in West Auckland, 12 of 13 kids, poor, genuinely poor, and not ashamed of it, actually grateful to have had a roof over my head. And I remember my dad saying to me when I was like 13 or 14, I got in trouble for something. And he wasn't a man of many words, and he put his hand on my shoulder and he goes, I know you're going places, just remember where you've come from. And I always remember that because it's like, I know where I came from and I'm not going back. And I'm not going to have my kids in that environment. So, and my family and everybody I care about. But yeah, I am driven. I'm very driven, but sometimes that comes at a cost because the people around you, Dean, my business partner in my construction business, had a speech at our wedding in February, and he said, "You know what, Mark, sometimes it's really hard to navigate the Trafford highway because you're going 100 miles an hour and nobody can keep up." And I looked at him and I went, "Yeah, you're probably right. That must be very difficult." But you know what? I've got such amazing people around me. I'm so lucky.
Fantastic. It's been a pleasure to have you, and I wish you all the best, of course, in
Thank you.
every endeavour you have.
Thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you.
Of course, likewise. Thank you.